Hey YouTube, this is React City. I'm Johnny.
I'm Rose.
I'm Nikki.
And this is the React Cast podcast.
Wow.
Thank you very much for coming back today. So, we've got quite a bit of news, but fun fact first. So, someone pointed out, Yoshindo and that girl are actually confirmed to be dating. You remember My Hero? Earthquake Boy and the girl?
Yeah. The Deku, Dollar Store Deku.
Oh, those two that we saw walking around are dating?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're dating. Author said, yeah, ship confirmed.
Who confirmed
cool.
it?
The author
The
himself.
author.
An actual pair confirmed. Completely not even a part of the school.
Yes. But I was just going to say, it wasn't shown at all in the show, like, that kind of relationship to me. It was just like some close friends or / paired up because they're heroes.
Classmates,
yeah.
Yeah. Do you know they have their own wiki? Like, there's a wiki for ships.
I'm sure.
Like, it's got their name combined, and it's a wiki page of just every instance that could possibly be them getting together. Yeah. I nearly opened it up here, but I was like, I don't have time for that.
Got time for that.
But yeah, apparently that character in particular, Yoshindo, is a bit of an oddity because he regularly appears in like the top 10 most popular characters on My Hero polls, despite the fact he's only been in one episode.
Wow.
So it's kind of like it just played into it. Like, okay, you guys constantly shipping this person, you love him for some reason. Here,
Yes.
ship
Take
confirmed.
Take it.
They're living happily ever after. Whatever.
Yes. That's cute. That's a nice little lore. And I can understand why he would get really popular because when he was introduced, he was such a strong character.
Yeah.
Like personality wise.
He was Deku's body with
Bakugo's
personality.
Exactly. He like the black hair, everything. So it's just I can understand people are like your two favorite top characters in My Hero slammed together into one. There you go.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I like seeing when characters have callbacks, and one of the reasons I really enjoy the earlier seasons was getting all those introductions to all these new characters that we probably never see again. Mm-hmm. But knowing they're out there fills the world for me.
Yeah, it really does. Mm-hmm. That is one thing that My Hero does really well, is that they do world building in a way that's interesting, but it doesn't take up, like, it doesn't take up so much of your time. It's like, this hero exists, you'll never see them again.
Yeah. I think about that training episode where we had the two classes go against each other. Mm-hmm. How many of those guys do you think are going to come back? Mm-hmm. Not all of them. Mm-hmm. And then the whole tournament arc, the pro hero license, we still haven't seen the Wind guy again.
Yeah.
Who was like hyped to be a prodigy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's true.
I really like those things, though.
I'm thinking about, like, some of Class B, I think it was, some of Class B ended up on the raid, right? Didn't we see a couple of them? I know we saw some that were not in our class, at least.
Mm-hmm. Class B, a couple.
Class B?
Yes, because Mushroom, Comic Book, Shadow. I remember seeing those guys.
Right.
And Mushroom did a huge amount. She took out like 30 dudes.
Yeah, terrorized and traumatized people for life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the one area in My Hero that I feel like is lacking, that it may make up for in the next couple episodes, is, other than character world building, regular world building. Like, we don't really know how the world outside of Japan is like with the heroes. We don't know how they think of heroes. We don't know if there's countries run by heroes. We don't know how it works out there. Mm-hmm. So now that people are getting shipped in, hopefully we get to, back in my country this would never happen because we do this.
Spoilers!
What?
But yes.
No, we knew that was coming.
No, yeah, I know. I'm just saying spoilers for people for My Hero.
It didn't really spoil anything, but it was like, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, I think that that idea that they're bringing people in is a nice kind of like point to the rest of the world pretty much, like, I mean, they talk about it like the whole world has quirks, but you only ever see Japan, which is understandable for, you know, these people who are writing it. This is what they know about, this is what they can write about. They can't really write about what the rest of the world's opinion would be. It might just be a Japanese version of, you know, so it might be a little hard, but just even mentioning, like, people coming from the outside, they're not just an isolated little country, at least now. It sounds interesting. Yeah.
It's just a random aside. You pointing out how, like, it might be a Japanese version of that country from the point of view. I saw a meme the other day talking about how Americans in Japanese anime are usually like huge, strong, really determined people, and the meme was like, be the American the Japanese think you are.
That's funny. That is really funny.
It's hilarious.
It's true.
This should be, I'm sure that if you look at all the comments made by people all around the world, there's just different versions of the stereotype. Like American stereotypes of countries. Do you know the comic of like is basically the countries are represented as people and they like always talking and fighting and having romances.
Oh no, that's in the anime. I don't think you've ever seen Italia.
I don't know what you're the name of it. I just know it's like little cartoons. I think it was like a comic, a web thing.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but it was a really funny cartoon. It got really popular, but it was basically like the stereotypes of the countries and like what people thought of them. But it's mostly from an American perspective because it was an American writer.
Yeah.
But it's just that idea. It makes me think of like seeing, just maybe even seeing in a anime when they try to portray another world, like what are they gonna represent? You know, we already see what they show with All Might, with all Detroit Smash or whatever. All of these things, very high energy, full power kind of thing.
Yeah, you should watch Italia. I think you'd really enjoy Italia. It's not a plot type anime. It's just very fun. And Italy's an idiot in it, but it's still funny. The word Italia is like a mashup of I think it's the word idiot or fool and Italy together.
Aww.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
And something like that. But it's super funny, and nobody knows who Canada is for some reason, but it's funny.
Okay, so is it that they're not obviously labeled and you just kind of figure it out?
They're named in their country.
Oh, they're named their countries.
It's like, oh hi America.
Oh, okay,
like that.
But how did they not know who Canada is then?
Because he comes around and then he's just there, and then everybody turns and is like, who are you?
Oh, okay.
Meme.
Got it.
Even he also has like a polar bear who comes around with him. It's his pet, and the polar bear is like, who are you? He's like, I'm Canada.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I didn't enjoy it that much because lack of plots, but I can admit it was very funny. I do think you like it as well. But a piece of news before we go back to random crap. So, Uncle from Another World got rescheduled again for the final episode. Dude, this is one of the most unlucky animes I've ever seen. Because, I mean, they summed it up down here.
AnimeNewsNetwork.com.
Here it is. So, the anime premiered in July 2022. And then suffered a 2-week hiatus for its 5th episode in the middle of August because of COVID-19 hitting the studio. So then they delayed the 8th episode beyond September because of another COVID spread. And then the anime was re-aired, episode 3 through 6 only, throughout September. The anime then restarted on October 6th. And then now the final episode has had to be delayed once again due to COVID to March 8th after the COVID delay.
Dang.
Oh my goodness.
Dang.
Absolutely rolled.
They're trying to stretch it out to a year.
Yes.
See if they can do it. Oh my goodness.
I think that genuinely probably really hurt it because, I mean, I don't think either of us even went back to it eventually.
I did go back to it, but I thought it finished because no more episodes came out after a few weeks. I was like, okay. I didn't know that it was delayed again.
Yeah, that's precisely why they restarted in the first place, and I got hit with another delay.
Yes.
They can't restart it twice. They did them a huge favor by doing it once.
Yes.
That just doesn't happen. But yeah, I mean, the issue is it's not even. I wouldn't call it an A-tier anime. It's like a okay B tier. Like it's a funny. It's different from everything else.
Yeah. It's a B. It's like a B tier that you'd recommend to anybody.
Yeah.
You'd recommend it like an S tier, but it's just a B tier anime.
Okay.
There's nothing like it out there right now.
Yeah, it's really funny.
It's very silly. It's dumb. Doesn't take itself too seriously. But with that energy, you need to be able to get your story out there and move on, and they couldn't. So.
I feel so sad for them because even though I haven't watched it, I've had a lot of high hopes for it because of the way you guys talk about it. I was like, oh, it's so good. And as I always say, I really love the cover. I love how they portray this man's face. I always love the hidden eye glasses look for characters. Always, it's just funny.
Can't see their eyes.
Yes. But yeah, so I'm really sorry that they're going through so much. It's like a lot of unluckiness.
Yeah.
I think it might have finally surpassed the weirdness that was Ancient Magus' Bride release schedule.
Yeah, actually.
The twice-a-year release schedule.
Oh, yeah. They're supposed to be... I think it was you that told me that the season 2 was supposed to be on its way.
Yes.
for Ancient Magnus Bride.
Mm.
Do you want the release date? Let's see. April 6th.
April 6th.
April.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
That's much closer than I expected.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty much within 5 days of Demon Slayer.
Oh boy.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, back to regular stuff. So, we just saw the Hunter x Hunter anime fight with between Netero and the Ant King.
Mm-hmm.
And so, someone was saying, you just saw the best fight in Shonen.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, what is your favorite fight that you've seen in animes that we reacted to so far?
Kenny versus what's his name?
Oh, Levi.
Levi. Mm-hmm.
We reacted to that?
I don't
No.
think we didn't react to
That
it.
was before we started.
But it's the best fight that I've seen.
Well, I was going to secondary say, and if there's a better fight before the channel. So
Oh.
that's it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That we've reacted to though.
I can think of mine.
Yeah.
Is Demon Slayer, but I'm trying to think which
Oh.
one. There were a couple of them that I liked.
I think
it was the
the
last.
train.
The Mugen Train was one of the ones I liked, but I think the last season where Tanjiro
Oh, yeah.
finally did a thing.
Yeah,
you
he
know?
did a thing.
And it was really middle that way, without spoiling it. That was an amazing fight between him and he was like I forgot what they call it now. One of the 12 moons.
Yeah.
Yes, he was one of the 12, and Tanjiro did a deal on him.
Did a thing.
It was great. I love the art of Demon Slayer. It's so beautiful. Very epic. Very gets you in the soul. Everything. So I think that was my favorite fight. But yeah, Mugen Train is a close second.
Yeah. Gyutaro.
Dude, I didn't even think of it when thinking of my favorite fights. But dude, him versus Tengen, I think is my favorite fight on the channel.
Oh, Tengen. Oh yeah.
The ninja
Tengen's
dude.
the ninja dude. Yeah, that was a
when
good
they
fight.
went at it, and it just started exploding everything around them, but they were both getting nicks on each other. That was amazing.
That was really good. That was really cool.
Yeah, and there's something special about the Netero versus the Ant King fight. I think a lot of the style of Demon Slayer kind of puts it a bit easier for me to appreciate. But the Netero fight, with the technicalities of what's on the line, that it is a great fight, but I think it's a little bit below that Demon Slayer fight for me. Just a little bit.
I don't want to step on any toes, but I wasn't that impressed by the Netero fight at
Really?
all. I think
Fight itself, I would agree.
yeah, I liked the stakes of
Yes.
that fight. That was high stakes, and I was very fully invested at the results. So definitely a fight that I would even enjoy watching that scene over, you know. But as the fight itself, I don't know what's in your head, but as the fight itself, it was a lot of I don't know how to explain. It's a lot of you didn't see it happen, it was. And something happened, kind of thing. Even the hitting away, it went so fast. You don't really get to appreciate what was happening so much. I did like the universe version. Eventually there was Dragon Ball Z or whatever. That part was cool, but I don't know. I didn't enjoy the technicality of the fight itself. I don't know.
It's funny you say that because I have rewatched that fight 4 times.
And you love
since
it.
then, because I watched it through other people reacting to it as well. Because I think a big part of what makes that fight special is the hype.
Yeah.
It takes so much build up, and when you finally get it, someone's actually able to fight the king, and it seemed like it was impossible. Now we finally see Netero, the leader of the hunters, actually doing something.
And going all out.
All that together made it incredible.
Yeah.
But in terms of technicality, that's why I kind of like the Demon Slayer fight a bit more. It's just because it felt like 2 extremely high level people who at any moment could kill the other if anything goes wrong. Whereas with the King fight, it felt like he can't really be the Ant King until right at the end. I thought maybe he can kill him with a Zero Blast, but it felt like he just stalling for time because the King wasn't trying to kill him that whole time. You know, and that's in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
But
And I was gonna say something and now it's gone from my head.
Oh, no.
It's slipping away. Don't go, Jack.
technicality of the fight.
Because you were saying the fight itself, you were agreeing.
Yeah. The fight itself wasn't you could see every single move in Demon Slayer, and that made it so like you could replay that in your head over and over and be just as much fun. But for the Netero fight, you'd have to see it to be as hype.
Yeah.
Because like it's like the Dragon Ball Z punching where they just like kind of blur.
Exactly. Yeah.
You could still see the king getting hit, but it's the same hit over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the fact that in the middle of this, these people are like having the best fun of their lives, about to die. Well, like one of them is about to get taken out here, but this is so much fun. It's like a firework. It's only fun after it's exploded, and then it's done.
It's done, and it's a really quick moment too. Yeah, I agree. That pretty much says what I was trying to say. Expecting like something spectacular and different, and it was just a hit, you know. So it was a little underwhelming. Mm-hmm. I guess I had my expectations too high.
It could be that because we were introduced to other shows that are more modern, like Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer, going to one that's had more technical limitations on it, like Hunter x Hunter, hurt it in the long run. Yeah. Because a lot of these people who enjoyed it that much, they saw it when that was the prime of all of anime.
That's what I was thinking too, yeah.
My perspective is like the fact that the hits were, like the moves were so mundane was part of what made it exciting for me, really? Honestly. Yeah, because it's like he's never had to have like these really explosive moves or like trick moves like Morel has or anything. It's very simple because he's never had to be more effective than that. Like even just your best is less than his worst. So it doesn't really matter. And that's part of what made it exciting for me.
That's interesting.
That's a very interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Especially when you consider he eventually mellowed out, and the comments were talking about how he realized that there was never going to be anyone challenge him, and that's when he stopped, the whole hesitation for being gracious and all that. So yeah, interesting. Yeah, so My Hero, it had me going for quite a while with the way the villains were treated by the heroes. And I didn't bring it up a huge amount, but I genuinely didn't like how villains were just treated as a black and white, oh, you're a bad guy and I'm a good guy, I'm gonna beat you up. And they hinted towards that idea with Stain when he showed up about how there's fake heroes and stuff like that. But finally, with Deku's current arc and him looking at the villains and like, how did you get like this? Would throwing you in a hole for 20 years fix you? I love that. Yeah. Because so many animes do this where they treat villains as though they'd respond into the world as evil. Or maybe they have a genuine point that was lost in violence. Yeah.
Dio was just born bad.
Dio was born bad. But like, just someone may have gone bad and taken the wrong path in showing their point. But the origin of the issue could be true. And there are some animes where like the master has a favorite student, or the master teaches that guy a really bad thing, and the guy overreacts, and now he's the villain. I said, but he had a genuine point in the beginning of it, but they never talk about it. So I'm just really enjoying the current Deku arc, and I was wondering if you guys, how did you feel about how he looks at the villains now?
I'm really enjoying it. I love this kind of but why questions, like the what is it, the nuances of like you're wrong but you're right but you're wrong about it, I love that kind of thing.
Personally, I think I've talked about this before, I forget what show. I don't enjoy being like led to be sympathetic for a villain. If a villain is a villain, is a villain. No, but it's because I do feel sympathetic, and I'm like, yeah, they have a point, but I don't want you to live. You
don't want to feel the heart because it will be broken.
Yes, because I know they've done a bad, and it's an irreversible bad. They have to be punished. If I feel bad for them, it's just gonna be painful when they get punished. That's one of the reasons I did not like to watch The Godfather. Like, it's like a classic. Everybody loves it. My dad loves it. Like, grandma loves it. And I just I don't want to watch it. I've watched it in parts, and every time I cry. Like, because I feel bad for these people. I'm like, I don't want to,
Selling drugs. Why am I crying that you're dying right now?
Exactly. It's just such a complicated mess, but it's life, and it's part of the reason that I don't like to face that is because I go to watch these shows to escape the realities of life, not to have to face them and go through catharsis or whatever. I don't know. So I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with that. That being said, I actually didn't pick that up that you were talking about with My Hero. At least, I mean, I kind of knew it was there, but I didn't really feel it as like a main important theme so much, except when you were talking about, you know, Shigaraki's group and how they're kind of like, their whole story, they're all kind of tragic, you know, so I did kind of feel that feeling of, I don't want to feel this, you know, but it didn't bother me until now that you're pointing it out. Yeah, it seems like they are going that direction. So I am curious how they're going to deal with it, because so far, My Hero has not been a super tragic anime. You know what I mean? Like, it hasn't embraced the dark side very often. Like, sometimes for sure. But it's been more of a there's hope anime. And this arc, this entire season so far, has been the most, like, pain and suffering and emotional turmoil that I've had in My Hero. Like, since I remember starting to watch the series. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see where they go with this.
Did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I didn't feel any sort of dread. It's again, I love these tragedies but it's also because of what you said. There is hope. I know that it's not going to break my heart and leave it there. It's gonna put some band-aids on it, you know, it's gonna put a little Neospore and let it heal up by the end of this. I feel safe. I feel safe to be hurt, basically. Okay. That's the kind of stories that I like.
Well, yeah. I don't know that I feel that hope. I don't know. Like, I used to trust it, but, you know, I feel like I trust ReZero more right now.
Wow. Okay?
That's how much. Like, I'm just scared. My heart broke because I'm scared. Oh, for one, I'm scared. Okay, I'm scared. But yeah.
I mean, they did with the latest episode have that issue with Muscle, and Deku was looking at Muscle and was like, "Really, there is no way I could have ever saved you." Like, this guy was just, his mindset is just warfare. He doesn't even think about anything he does. He doesn't think about tactics. He just wants to fight. And so maybe his quirk did really mess with his mind, but all he can do is just knock this guy out. And so in that instance, it's like, yeah, there's going to be times I'm just going to have to punch the person. But I'm not someone who's like, I don't want you to treat the villains poorly. I just want them to understand the villains. I just don't want them to act like you're better than them, or there's a self-righteous nature to this whole thing. So I know this could easily have been you if you were just born on the other side of the street. You know? So I don't like it seeing when the good guys in animes act like they're superior.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Just acknowledging the situation is enough for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it when the villain is like going down. He's like because the villain needed to go down, but he was like, I had a point though. And then everybody's like, he did have a point, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the justice must be dealt. But fairly.
Yes.
And evenly. Yeah, so I have something if you don't have one here, but do you have a Rose Rant?
I watched two K-dramas over the last 2 days. I'm watching a third one.
How many episodes each?
16.
Wow.
An hour long each.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I watched Crazy Love and I watched Perfume. Both of them were romance, of course, because my escapism is romance K-dramas. But Perfume is about this perfume that this girl gets. She feels ugly because she's overweight, and her husband is about to divorce her, and he's been cheating on her and everything. She finds this perfume, this magic perfume was delivered to her, and she uses it, and then she's suddenly 20 years younger back when she was, before she had a kid, so she was much thinner, and she was a model back then. Like that part, I expected just a little bit more of like, wow, we're entering this crazy world of like, what other things can happen with this perfume. No, that was the only part of that that existed in that K-drama, and I'm, like, the rest of the world is totally normal.
Okay.
And I'm like, but why?
It's not explained. Or?
It's not explained. Well, it's kind of explained. There's this guy who's saying something about the system by which things happen. Something about fate. But yeah, but it left me very confused, and I'm like, this could have been. It just left me confused. I didn't know what to make of it once it was done. After it was done, I was like, oh yay, the guy and the girl are together in the end, and she loves herself a bit more now. But then I thought about it. It was just like, why did any of this happen? What is this confusion?
I wonder if this has something to do with like a translation disconnect.
Why?
Like, just like in maybe a couple of things. Number one, it could have been translated to English. They didn't quite make everything clear what the systems guy was talking about. Or maybe there's something culturally that is, understood, maybe like a superstition about how things work. That people, so it kind of adds the rest of the story for you. You know what I mean? So let me think if I can think of an example. Like, for example, something Japanese, where there's a whole culture and lore about oni and all of that exists already. Mm-hmm. So all you have to do in an anime for Japanese people is mention, oh, it's an oni, and they're like, oh, all of the rest of the information basically comes to the mind of a Japanese person. Mm-hmm. But an outsider is like, lost. Especially like a noob, an normie comes in and tries to watch that, they're like, I don't know what just happened, and they're like, oh, that's dumb. So I wonder if it's something like that happens. Mm-hmm. Something that maybe in the culture, some sort of really niche, or not even niche, Korean shows that things that they talk about that's very understandable. That's kind of like weaved into this show. That maybe that's why you're confused.
No.
No?
But that guy comes in like at the end, like for 10 minutes at the end of the whole show.
10 minutes is enough, I think, maybe.
But I enjoyed the other show I watched, Crazy Love, a bit more because it didn't have that. The girl has been working for this terrible boss for like a year now. She's usually his assistants quit after 3 months. She's made it a year, and she's like, yeah, I made it a year. And then she finds out that she has brain cancer due to stress.
Oh wow!
So now she's like, you know what? Screw it. So she goes to his house. She's like, she throws a bunch of onions at him because he can't stand onions. He absolutely hates it. Like, the amount of money she must have spent on those onions. There were a lot of onions. A whole bag of, like a backpacker's backpack of onions. And she was like, has a hammer. She threatens him. Just catharsis, I guess, because she doesn't actually do anything. Okay. And then she leaves. Because she's like, you know what? Because she has like supposed to have like less than a year left because of the cancer. And then this other thing happens where he ends up getting attacked that same night by somebody else, and she sees it and she's like, oh my gosh, now I have to save him. So she calls the hospital, helps him. He has amnesia now.
Oh my gosh, amnesia arc.
But then the police found the hammer that she dropped.
Oh, they think she did it.
And then they're like, what? Were you a part of this? And she's like, actually, I'm his fiance.
What?
But he has amnesia, so he doesn't have any family. All of it, he has no family. He only has like one person who he's friends with, and he doesn't talk a whole lot to that friend that much either. So, that's this K-drama. Is she gonna get away with it? Is he gonna remember stuff? Because he does remember stuff slightly, and it seems like his jerk personality is coming back just a little bit. And it was really fun. And the OTP does get together in the end, yay. But the ending was a bit too wrap up. It's like, you know how you have like different situations in the show, and then right at the end, like I think like the last episode, they literally like sew up each
one by one
instead of it like naturally coming to a conclusion. Yeah, so that was like a little bit. It felt very okay. Let's put bow tie on this and let's get out of here.
It sounds like they were on a time clock here. It's
Maybe.
like, okay, we gotta cut it now.
Yeah, they
Call it.
Yeah, unfortunately, but yeah.
I'm surprised she got with him in the end, knowing he was a jerk.
What? I said the OTP.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I caught that. It was a secret, and you just let it out of the bag.
Okay. I thought the OTP was the fake guy who had amnesia, because usually that's how these shows go. The guy with the amnesia ends up with the girl. You look at me like I'm crazy. You just said OTP, like I'm supposed to understand there's a third party in this situation.
No, but she said the OTP. When she says it like that,
it's
obviously
spoiler free.
Yeah, it obviously means it wasn't those.
Obviously, you mentioned a man and a woman and no one else, and you say the two people get together.
No, she didn't. She didn't.
The OTP, these two people.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to connect that there's another person in this scenario.
No, because she didn't say they got together. She said the OTP. It's kind of like somebody trying to say. But I don't have an example.
It's like what?
No, I don't have an example.
I was trying to say it in a way that people would be like, okay, the people who you want to get to, like, it's a good ending, and the romance is romancing by the end of it. It's a good show.
Okay.
That's why I said it that way. But I don't want people to know who is the who get together.
Okay. You said it in code, I just didn't have the cipher. It's alright.
Maybe this could go into another discussion. How does one talk about a whole series spoiler free? How do you do that?
How do you do that? Indeed, we should try that. We should try that as an activity.
I feel like we can do that pretty easily.
It is doable for sure, because when you can have wikis where they have the spoiler-free plot and then the spoiler plot.
Yeah.
So it is possible, but it's hard.
Not like summarizing it, like talking about specific things in the show that you want to make commentary about without spoiling it.
If you can give me a question for one, I guarantee you I could answer.
Yeah. I feel the challenge rising in me.
What animes have we watched? How about? I have to go deeper in Tanjiro's story. What about what happened with what's her name? Oh, Nezuko. Like, how do you make commentary about her transformation without spoiling it?
Yeah.
That she transformed at all.
So if you were to ask, okay, that'd be a weird question to ask from the person who's asking. But if you were to ask that, I'd imagine you'd be asking, okay, what's the deal with the girl on the poster of this?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so it's about a boy who his family has a tragedy occur to it, and his sister is very ill, and he's trying to find a way to heal her illness. And it's about him getting stronger on the path to get to the person who can heal her illness. Something like that. And then as soon as you start watching the show...
That's the summary of the show, not the situation.
But that is the situation. She's ill.
No, the specific situation of why she's like that.
Okay. When the family tragedy occurred, which killed his family, she was heavily injured. And he's trying to heal her.
That's not what I mean.
I understand what you're trying to say.
I'm not sure.
Let me think if I could say what he's trying to say in a more desire.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with the girl on the poster? Well, so Tanjiro, the main character, their brother and sister. Tanjiro's family has a terrible tragedy happen, and something serious happens to the sister. She survives, but in an interestingly different way. So she basically becomes like this for unknown reasons you will find out from watching, and his journey is basically to restore her to original self. Something like that.
That's what he said.
It's the same? I just didn't say ill.
I'd actually consider that a spoiler.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the way you phrase it, I know something about her. Like, if I was to watch the scene of when she first starts to get it with the vampire,
you'd know immediately.
I know that something had already happened. Like, because when he first gets her, we don't know if she's alive or dead. Mm-hmm. You know, for a second there, I thought she was dead.
Oh, that's true.
But...
Well, you try.
I'm asking because I can't.
You see, that's the thing. I feel that kind of a question would never come up, or I don't know what you're asking about.
I think
Say it with the spoilers. Say it with the spoilers. What you're trying to avoid saying.
What were we talking about?
So something to do with Nezuko. Right?
Nezuko's transformation. With the spoiler, Nezuko, her brother gets hurt and she wants to help fight the person who's hurting him. So she transforms into super vampire demon, whatever she is, and she goes ham.
So I feel like what we were saying did get to that. Like, not the whole defending and fighting part of it, but I wouldn't go into that much detail because you'd get that as you watch the show. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of.
I think the point we should be getting to is that usually what I think you're getting to is that usually when people are asking a question about a show and you don't want to spoil it for them, usually they're not asking a question that is the answer can spoil or should be able to spoil. Like, usually they might be asking, what's this show about? Or is it a good show to watch? Or am I gonna be sad in the end? Something that you could give more of a summary to pass that answer than to give any specifics. Usually you don't need to be giving specifics, is what I think is.
So what I'm concluding is that I'm just very bad at not spoiling things.
Check out Rose Explanations. I actually have one more thing here. It's apparently Vinland Saga released as episode 6.5. It's a 2-minute little short that they put up on their YouTube channel. So I think I'll just show you guys here. I'm not even sure if I can include this.
Ominous.
Just doubling down on him dealing with what he's done in the past.
Yeah.
So a little blurb here says that it's apparently when he was with Askeladd's raiders and they're in the middle of a raid attacking a town. Yeah. So now just kind of seeing the pain he's caused.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't really have much to say on that. Okay.
I think it's because the whole thing was so somber, you know? It just kind of, like, you don't have, what can you say? The man is traumatized. And you're like, yeah, I know. That's all. It's like, he's so traumatized. I know. Yes, this is our thing. I wonder, I guess it leads me to ask, if they're making this little short, like, what are they going to do about it? What is Thorfinn gonna do about this trauma?
What if somebody sees him
and recognizes him?
Are you that kid that burned down my village?
Recognizes the small boy to the big boy with a beard and hair pulled back?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
Without an ear.
Without an ear, a lot of things here.
Yeah.
I mean, he might recognize someone. There's that chance, because they're showing us these that we could hardly see.
Yeah.
This child, an adult, according to the description. Or no, never mind. It's just children. Maybe he'll see someone and like it'll remind him. Oh my gosh, I remember that face. Because that memory obviously stuck since he was dreaming about it.
Yeah.
Apparently the author himself made a little tweet commenting on that scene. I mean, pretty much just what you're saying is just like Thorfinn's just before he tries to make a fresh start in his life, shows how he tries to change from the inside by just images without any lines. It is amazing. He seems like he's no longer a child that has gone wild. Then who he's trying to become. He has to reassess everything about himself. He has to face everything he avoided. They're always at the edge of his sight. Mother and children that were inside of the corner of the house, frightened by the flames of war. They were the family of the man he never knew, who he had just killed. And then afterwards he goes on to thank the people who made the animation, because I believe this is an anime only scene. So it just helps flesh out his headspace right now.
That's nice. It's a nice little picture thing that they made for the author comment. That's cute.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so there have been a couple of anime-only little extras inserted in to the show so far. We've got a couple of people commenting on it as this was going on.
The first episode, right, with Einar?
Yeah.
The thing was anime only?
A couple things in the first episode I think were reversed, but then I think in the second episode a flashback was new. I think. Yeah. But yeah, it seems like that the studio is really trying to take good care of the show and
I'm very happy
give
with
it a
that.
really good run.
I'm happy with that indeed. I hope they don't get like Uncle Isekai problems. Stay away, Uncle Isekai. I don't know, what is it called? Uncle from Another World?
Yeah. You get sick, you keep it under wraps. You understand me?
Yes.
We're not getting shut off for nothing.
You're signing a do not disclose that you are sick phrase clause in your contract.
But yeah, I think that's it. Unless you guys have something else. Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
All right. Well, guys, thank you guys very much for being here. Thank you very much for submitting these questions and the fun facts. But thank you very much for being here. If you like the Attacker, please leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more. Remember, you can use Patreon to see these 2 weeks ahead, or if you just want to see the other shows a whole week ahead. Thank you very much again. I will see you in the city. Goodbye.
Bye.